All right, well, today is August 31st, 2018, and right now at 10 p.m., we have a temperature of 67 degrees. The relative humidity is 54%. The dew point is 50 degrees, and the barometer is down at 29.83 inches. Now, today we woke up to mostly clear skies. There was no chemtrail haze visible in the morning and early afternoon. But towards the late beginning about, I guess it was about 3 o'clock, we started to see a tide of chemtrail haze on the sort of the southwest and western skies. And we see that Hurricane Miriam right here, which is being blown apart, this storm is moving north and being quickly blown apart. This is a Category 1 storm right now with 90-mile-per-hour sustained winds, but we can see that the storm is really being taken apart. Looking at the GOES floater infrared map, we can see the tremendous blast pattern here on the western side, and also notice here these pressure waves that are moving away as this storm is being targeted in multiple areas. Up here and down in this area, there is no eye wall. We can see that the storm is trying to rebuild itself over this 7.5 hour loop. So this storm is being targeted, and if we go back to the map, we can see why. We have a Category 3 storm. This is Norman, which was almost a Category 5 here about a day and a half, 2 days ago. And then we have a new storm. This is Tropical Depression 17E, I believe it is, forming. So we've got these two storms. This is a Category 3 now. Norman is a Cat 3 with 120-mile-per-hour sustained winds. And we see that there is an area of high pressure that's been installed in this area. And we can see the cutout as the water vapor evaporates when it gets into this zone. We can see that the hurricane here has a very strange outline around its center. This is Norman. And none of this moisture down here is being allowed to get anywhere near this monsoonal moisture, which is starting to spin counterclockwise right here over Mexico. But this clockwise action, this high pressure that's been installed, is winding a lot of this moisture, including the hurricane itself, it looks like, is going to get caught up in this pattern, and this is going to move right up towards California. We see that right here we've got a low pressure starting to develop. We have a vortex right here, just northeast of these Hawaiian Islands. And so for the next several days, we're going to see some fairly heavy chemtrail spraying as this moisture streams right into California. Now, this should be bringing a lot of rain to California. I shouldn't have to explain that, but that is the way it should have been. We've got moisture from a hurricane flowing right into California. Get that blank frame out of there. So we've got, once again, opportunity for rain. A great opportunity for rain right here. And what do we see? Chemtrails, the jets are out spraying. Now here in the western U.S. water vapor loop, we can see what's happening. On top of the moisture being moving in, we see the jets are spraying. We're going to look at the MODIS Today map. But right here we have a low pressure system trying to spin up right over Nevada. And so what's happening here, we've got a transmitter right on top of this developing low pressure system. And look what's happening here. The high pressure installed right on top of this developing low is actually blockading and redirecting this moisture field down and around. In this case, it's going right through the Channel Islands and through Los Angeles, out through the southeastern desert and into Arizona. So today, that explains why we saw the heavy chemtrail spraying in the late afternoon. Earlier in the day today, this moisture was moving more towards the central California area, but now it's changed as this low has moved through the state of California and out through Nevada. The pattern has changed. The transmitter here, which is generating high pressure, has forced this flow pattern to the south, right over us. So we're going to see a lot more spraying as this hurricane moves up and around the high pressure that's been installed here. But also we've got this low, which is spinning counterclockwise. Now they've got a blockade here. Let's go back to the other map here. We can see that there's a blockade between this low and this hurricane, and that will prevent the hurricane from getting sucked into this vortex. So they've really got no choice but to just blow this thing apart, and that's exactly what's happening. We can see a very strong effort right there to weaken and destroy that hurricane. Let's go ahead and look at the, this is the East Pacific water vapor loop. Got to get rid of that one frame there. Got a dead frame. All right, so we can see that this is Miriam right here. This is the storm that's being blown apart very, very quickly. By tomorrow, this will probably be a tropical storm, or maybe even a tropical depression. They are doing some fast work on this thing to knock it out. And that's a shame, because we could sure use that rain. Instead, we're getting hot weather and chemtrails. Let's go ahead and take a look at the hurricane center map. We can see that we've got 17E right here. This just formed today, generating 35 mile per hour winds, central pressure of 1,007 millibar, and this is moving west northwest at 10 miles per hour. Norman here was a Category 4, a very strong Category 4, with 150 mile per hour winds a couple of days ago. And today we see that it's weakened. The pressure is up to 958 millibar. This was around 935 or 938 millibar here just about a day and a half ago. So this is weakened. We've got that blockade all through here, preventing any of the moisture from these storms from moving north. And then we have the Central Pacific. We've got Miriam with 90 mile per hour winds. And of course, this storm is being sucked around that high pressure installation north of the two hurricanes just to the east. So we can see that there's a forecast for this storm to move up to the north west, but it doesn't seem that that's going to happen. We've got that situation we were just looking at here. We've got this low spinning, and so this storm here will probably follow the path that we're seeing this tail follow, which is right into California. They're not going to force this hurricane up and into this low pressure system, which is this giant vortex. So they're just going to blow it apart, and this will move into, all this moisture will just move into California. So we're going to see a lot of chemtrail spraying for the central and southern California coast, as well as northern California. We can see a lot of this is moving into northern California, but that blockade right there, this is basically a dry low on this side, on the west side. Of course, this will mean that California gets no rain. We've got rain from a low that should be happening right there, and we've got this hurricane moisture moving. We can't get rain no matter what. Look at this. We've got low pressure right here, and we've got a hurricane with its moisture tail moving right in, and there's no rain. We had about 90 degrees today. Dry, I think it was around 50% humidity today during the day. It wasn't too hot today, but this should all be bringing cool weather. So the people controlling our weather they are generating hotter temperatures. They are generating dry conditions, and that's being sold to us as global warming. The fake news media. We can't trust anything that's being told to us on TV. It doesn't matter what station you watch. Every station on the mainstream media is peddling this global warming narrative, climate change. This is climate control, and there are people behind this doing this. There's our evidence. This storm here, this low pressure should be producing condensation around that vortex into the High Sierra. Right here, we've got a hurricane. This is just astonishing, really. There's all that moisture moving right into California. All right, let's look at the MODIS Today map. This is the color satellite map for yesterday. Today's map is corrupted. There's no information for Southern California. We can see the chemtrail haze, this gray off-white stuff This is yesterday's map. So we had a lot of spraying yesterday as Miriam's moisture moved in. Now we can see from yesterday's map that we have a lot of moisture offshore from that hurricane. We can see some thunderstorms out here bubbling up. The brilliant white is the natural clouds. Okay, these are all natural clouds. We see this gray haze, this off-white gray haze. This is the chemical haze, the chemtrail haze. Here's a fresh trail right there. And look at, we've over the top of this hurricane moisture, we've got these chemtrails which have been sprayed. So we can see that very clearly here in this MODIS Today color satellite map. And as I say, today's map is blanked out for the Southern California area. So here we see the gray haze. As we pan out offshore, we see the natural clouds that have been sprayed over with this stuff, this chemical chemtrail haze. And so this is why we're not getting rain. These chemical aerosols cap the atmosphere and prevent the lift. Right here we see a thunderstorm developing, right here. Thunderheads, cumulonimbus, right there. Brilliant white. And look at the gray haze adjacent to this area. And so the fake news media is covering for these terrorists that are controlling our weather. It's a coordinated operation. We have an FBI that is corrupted at the very high levels. It's an organized crime racket, syndicate. It's an organized crime syndicate, the FBI. What else can you call it? The FAA is covering for these high-flying aircraft. They know that they're up there spraying at high altitudes, not flying in any prescribed commercial flight routes. And the EPA, what are they doing? This stuff is toxic. This aluminum nanoparticulate is toxic. And this is why we have an explosion of Alzheimer's disease around the country and around the world, because of these toxic aluminum-laced aerosols. Now here is a, this is right over Illinois. This is yesterday, or rather today's map, showing the extensive chemtrail spraying over the Illinois and Indiana area. We see the natural clouds here, the brilliant white. Brilliant white is the natural moisture-laden clouds, and all this gray haze over the tops of these natural clouds is the chemtrail haze, the chemical haze. These are not clouds, these are chemical aerosols. And they contain aluminum, which is a desiccant. That's why we see the weather instruments indicate lower relative humidity and lower dew points, because this stuff absorbs atmospheric water vapor while it caps the atmosphere. Look at this. This stuff is all over the place out there over the area of Illinois and Indiana. Here's Lake Michigan here. We see natural clouds, the brilliant white. And look over here. This is just a complete whiteout, it looks like, over that area, over the Illinois area. That is just incredible. Very, very heavy spraying. All right, so that's pretty much the report we see here in the East Pacific map. We've got 17E forming. This is a big storm. We've got Norman. Look at this. Look at these cutouts right here, particularly right here. And then we have a blockade built in here to prevent moisture from Norman from getting into Miriam, which is fast approaching this path right towards California. This is going to be interesting. We got this low pressure right here, and they've got a forecast for this hurricane to hook up to the northwest. I don't think that's going to happen. You can already see the blockade built in right here to prevent this moisture and this storm from getting into this vortex. So this storm is going to follow this path of the tail of moisture right towards California. And that's why they're blowing this apart, because we'll get rain if they don't completely destroy this thing within about 12 to 24 hours, less than that. This is moving pretty quick now. So, and it's caught up in that, that's it, I got stopped.